All right. Well, on that note.
Okay, I'll stop now.
Promise?
No.
Well, I just thought we'd start off with Ken sent an email, which I thought was interesting. He thought was interesting. And so go ahead and just mention.
Okay. I got an email. I got it here. It's from
up here on the screen.
The Nigerian police force from blah blah Nigeria, and I should bring it up.
Oh my gosh!
But anyway, recovery of
diverted ATM.
ATM card, and I can't.
I'm contacting you personally to notify you of our discovery, as well as get some fact from you. Recently, we arrested Benin citizen.
Yeah.
Who work with DHL office in Lagos with an ATM card bearing your name on it as the beneficiary. Wow. And the owner of the card. However, the entire parcel containing the proof of the claim of ownership, which includes 4-digit security PIN number, was also your name, has so far been recovered from him. After we arrested and interrogated him, he confessed his name as Mr. Dave Foster, who work with the DHL office in Nigeria. He further confessed that earlier this year he was approached by a staff of UBA Bank PLC about the diversion of a parcel containing ATM Visa card belonging to one foreigner, which he agreed and then collaborated to divert your ATM Visa card from being dispatched to the destination. To further conclude our investigation, we would like to hear from you immediately to enable us to carry out proper action. Waiting your immediate response, reconfirming your full contact details for verification as follows. Your full name, your contact address, your direct phone number, and a copy of your identification so that we can ascertain details with the true beneficiaries.
So you're going to make a bunch of money.
But this is from the Nigerian police force, and I would really worry.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I think I'll send my social security number too. I sent it to Brian. I feared it'd be a good subject for us to talk about today. And I also got a hold of a friend of mine who's on the board for the credit union I used. And I gave him a copy of it so that they could bring to the credit union so that they're aware that this is a new scam going around. And they do with it as they please. But, so.
Would you send that to me so I can take it to my bank? Well, I'll do that too. I get those things all the time from Nigeria. I take them to the sheriff's office, and they go,
Then nothing you can do about it.
we know, just you know.
Well, yeah, no crime has been actually committed, so.
No. But anyway, and I was just thinking, when I wrote the letter to Brian about it, it's obvious it's a scam.
Well,
And why would they even do such a thing? Because it's so obvious. Then you get to thinking, well, it is to me and it is to 99% of the people out there. But that 1%, or even if it's only 100 people, it's worth their while, because if they can drain the bank accounts of 100 people or even 10 people, you might have just walked off with $100,000 or more dollars for nothing. Because it's easy to steal money from out of your checking account. It's harder to do it from your Visa, your charge card, but your ATM card, when the money's gone, it's gone. It is your problem. So anyway, I'm just thinking, there's got to be people out there that do this sort of thing.
How are they getting your email address?
They're just fishing.
Yeah, phishing or
phishing, or it was sold to them by someone who did get a hold of it.
You go through, maybe not Amazon, but there's a lot of companies, stores and stuff out there that, when you go to Safeway and they want your email address and everything, so when you have your smartphone in their store and you click on something with the smartphone, they can give you a special deal. but they're taking that information and probably selling it because there's money in it.
Yep.
And then the people who get that, of course, they don't use it for such good ways as the people at Safeway do, or whatever company. So.
Yep. Here's another similar one. So, to whom it may concern, we received an instruction memo, a letter a few days ago from the New York Police Department in America that your consignment box was free anyway. So, and then they offer, money. There's also lottery things that you've won the lottery or you've got a distant relative that has now passed away, and if you just send us your information, then we'll send you hundreds of thousands of dollars, which will actually work in reverse. you will give them.
I just sent you one that came in where they're just asking you to essentially verify that your email is real.
Oh yeah.
No.
So phase 2 will be the
has donated 3.5 million euro to you from our personal donation of the year. That's quite a sum of money.
That must be back from your time in Yemen.
Yeah. The sender is in Argentina, but the response looks like it might be in Sweden. If you click to answer it.
Yeah. Yep, they're all very interesting, and as you mentioned, grammar is an obvious clue. But at the same time, sometimes that doesn't work. As I mentioned before, several years ago, right after we got here, Becca's email was hacked, and the hackers sent out an email to all of her contacts that she was in London and lost her wallet and
send us some money.
And yep, and she needs money to be able to get a plane ticket back. And I had a couple family members call me, and it was worded, the grammar was bad, and it was and we would have told our family if we were going to
You go to your family
the
first.
UK. Well, and we would have told them that we would have gone to the UK ahead of time, and so they would have known. But I still had family call and say, "What's Becca doing in Britain? Why is she in London? What happened? That's not right, is it?" No, it's not. It was.
Don't send any money.
Do not send money. Her email account got hacked, and oh my goodness, it's bizarre. It does. You get them all the time, and you win the lottery, or someone died and you've got an inheritance, or they were trying to stop fraudulent activity on your account when that is the actual fraudulent activity, is that email.
The one you were talking about yesterday about Apple, somebody trying to.
Oh yeah. I was listening to a podcast. So, and that's what so I was listening to a podcast over the weekend. It's called Tech News Today, and so every day in the afternoon they've got like a 30 to 40 minute show that they produce. And the one that I was listening to, I don't always get to them every day, so I catch up with them over the weekend. One of the ones I was listening to was actually, because the App Store, let me back up, the App Store has a very tight process of vetting to make sure that the apps that go on the App Store are legit. Whereas, and Android is doing better, and has been for the last couple of years, but Android phones are still, the Android Play Store is still riddled with bad apps that will take your money and will do all kinds of bad things. One of the most popular ones on the Play Store is, people play like Candy Crush Saga, and you get kind of into that. It's a match 3 game where you match 3 objects together and it pops, and then more lower down, and you try to beat the level. And there's like 800 levels, maybe even more now. So anyway, but you only get so, if you don't beat a level, then you lose a life, and you only have so many lives, and then you have to wait until they replenish. And So people get frustrated that, and you can pay money to buy more lives, which is legit. But then there are apps on the Play Store which say, 100 free lives, and then you download the app and it's a virus, or they take your money and you don't get any free lives and things like that. And so Apple, because they vet every single app that goes through the App Store, they don't have stuff like that. However, I was listening to the podcast, so now we come full circle, and they were talking about this app that was claiming to be a antivirus for your iPhone and a VPN, which is, we talked about these a couple months ago, which basically hide you from the internet. So the internet cannot see who you are or what you're searching or where you're searching from. And it's a paid service that you get, and then you basically, no one can see what you do, and they can't track you, and they can't, you don't get the little ads saying, you just looked at a pair of shoes. Would you like to buy more shoes when you visit other websites? So anyway, so this app on the App Store was claiming to be an antivirus and malware and this VPN all built into one. And you click on, and it's free. And then you then you open the app to activate it, and it says, start your free trial now, click here. And so then you click on the free trial now, and then it asks for, your Touch ID with your fingerprint, or for you to enter your password to start your free trial. But if you don't pay attention, when it pops up that little window to enter your password, it's actually charging you $99.99 for the free trial. For 7-day free trial. And so then every 7 days, you are getting charged $100 every 7 days, and your iPhone, and like I've mentioned before, unless you jailbreak your iPhone, unless you install that, I told you it's really hard to do, but if you install those certificates that allow you to install third-party stuff, like I said, if you work for a hospital or things like that, unless you specifically do that, there is almost literally no way for an iPhone to get any kind of virus or malware or anything on it. And so, first of all, there's no point in downloading an antivirus to begin with. But anyway, so this scam app somehow made it through that process. And I don't know, they were saying, we don't know how it happened. Maybe the stuff they submitted to Apple appeared different. Or maybe Apple didn't, vet it as thoroughly as they should have by seeing, that it was actually charging you money even though it said it was free, or what. But apparently, as you mentioned, no, there's not going to be 1 million people clicking on this. But if there's 100 people and they get charged $100 for a week and they don't pay attention right away, then so they automatically get charged $100. And then they don't pay attention to their cell phone bills, say, till the end of the month to pay it. Yeah. They've already had then 3 works. That's $300, $400 worth of charges.
And you do that to 1,000 people, and you made some money.
Yep. And so the article that the guy wrote that was talking about this, he wrote an article about it, and it was, I think he said he titled it "How to Make $80,000 a Month in the App Store."
Yeah. And I've seen that. Yes.
So, yeah.
And so the Android, like my phone, is that I have to be more careful with that than what you would an iPhone.
Yes.
But that's only if you go to the
the Play Store, and basically just always download things from companies that you know, much like you would do with a program on your computer. You wouldn't install an antivirus that was called, I was going to say Panda, but there really is one called Panda. But let's say it's Giraffe Antivirus, and you've never heard of Giraffe Antivirus. You would never install that without doing research, even though they say they're the #1 antivirus on the internet. You do some research. So just always, if you do have an Android device, always make sure that the company that you're downloading the app from is trusted. So, and the star rating, you know, there's stars for ratings, and they get and you can, on top of just giving stars, you can leave written reviews, and so just read the reviews, and people will say, you know, this is a scam, or this is phishing, or this is malware. And so that's how the Android store kind of vets that stuff. But then there's also, they can buy fake reviews that are posted by bots. And I guess that is also how this this app got so much publicity, was that it paid for some company to post positive reviews with using their bot program. And they ended up being, because if you go into the App Store on your phone or your Android, or your iPhone or your Android or your iPad or whatever, there's a top grossing section, and I don't know what number it was on the list, but that scam app was on the top grossing, and so one, it shows you that it's made a ton of money off of people, but two, typically you look over there and you can kind of see, you know, what apps are, well, one, which ones are obviously making the most money, but for a reason typically, and so that may have given it a lot of extra customers than it should have. So
Is there any kind of recourse for that, or once you accept, you accept?
I'm not entirely sure, because that's an in-app purchase, is the way it's done. If an app has a price tag on it the moment you click on it and you can't actually download the app, then obviously there's that vetting process. But in-app purchases, I think, work a little differently, and so I don't think it's as easy to get your money back as it would be as if you were to just purchase an app outright.
So if you were to delete that app, does that stop the process? Probably does.
No. In-app purchases, you have to go into your settings, into your iTunes account, and there's a couple steps in your phone to get to because it then becomes a subscription. Like if you were to buy a subscription to, like I have a subscription to Apple Music, and so I get charged X dollars a month to have that service, and it just auto renews every month on my card. And I can unsubscribe at any time. But that's what that is, because it's an in-app purchase and because it was a 7-day subscription, that it's just going to renew every 7 days unless you go.
Weren't they right in a month?
Wow.
Yeah,
unless you go into your settings and cancel the subscription, or I guess call your credit card company and say, do not allow this charge to happen.
Mm-hmm.
No, they'll just, the subscription just keeps going and going and going. Yep.
Last week we were talking about battery life and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, my phone recently, even when it's off or I use it, turn it, you know, click it to standby, it gets hot. And it really drains my battery fast. And I'm thinking, sure, I can buy a new phone, but maybe I'm going to consider buying a new battery. I don't know if that would solve the issue. It's not hot right now.
Right.
But other times, I mean, I put it in my shirt pocket. That's when it tends to get warm.
Mm-hmm.
And I look to make sure it's not on, but it drains it fast. I can only get half a day.
Yeah. Have you looked into, like we've mentioned before, what apps are currently running on your phone?
Yeah. And I try to clean those.
The task manager, I think, is what it is for the Android. Yeah, that's one consideration too. Is, I mean, if the apps are closed out and it's getting hot,
I'll go online and see if.
It could just be that the battery's getting old, and so it's working hard, which is not good because you do not want a lithium-ion battery getting too hot.
I mean, it gets, almost to the point of you can't touch it.
Yeah.
But it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
I have that. How's your phone?
Huh?
How's your phone? 2 years?
Oh, at least maybe 5 years old.
I went on the internet to do my battery for my phone. It's $55. And this is 2 years old. And I went to Walmart. I went to that battery place I told you about when I went for this thing. And the guy says to the phone, it's 2 years old, is it worth putting a $50 battery in? I think it was $55 or $57 there. And I said, well, of course, nothing wrong with the phone. And he was all hep, just throw the phone away and get out the phone. It was a battery, $55.
Yep.
And, because what kind of phone do you have, Bill?
It's a Samsung.
Okay, yours is pretty much the same as mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people.
Mine does that.
I don't think everyone is this way, but there is a good amount of the culture that is. And it's because of the cell phone companies, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all of them have put us in the mindset that every 2 years you upgrade your phone, and so that is just part of how it's become ingrained in our brains, is that cell phones are good for 2 years, and then you get your free upgrade. Well, not necessarily free, obviously, but you get your discounted upgrade. It used to always be free because phones were cheaper then, but now that they're mini computers, they're much more money. So you get your discounted upgrade after 2 years. And so it's just become ingrained in our brains and in our culture that after 2 years, you just upgrade your phone. And now we're actually getting to the cycle, and I'm a culprit of that. Though I don't know. So anyway, I love technology, and I love the latest and the greatest. So I'm now going to start probably, because I did with the Apple upgrade program, I'll be upgrading when the new phone comes out. So I'll be on a 1 year cycle. But
$795.
well, but the way it works, and it'll work similarly with the cell phone companies as well. But I pay the monthly price, to basically lease the phone. And so then I just trade in this phone, they give me the new one, and I just extend my payments out another year, is what I'm contracting out to. It's a 2-year agreement, so I paid for a year, so then they bump it back a year. So every time I upgrade my phone, they just bump the payment plan back a year.
The price won't go higher.
No.
Because your phone, what you have, costs this much. This other phone costs this much.
No, the phone, every year, as long as I buy the same size phone with the same capacity, the same internals, the phone's going to be the same price as this one was. And so I just hand my old phone in, and they hand me the new one. That's simplifying it, but that's basically what it is. And then my payment stays the same. If I downgrade size, my payment will go down. If I upgrade the size.
That's the biggest one you can get right now, I think, is that
Yes.
one right there.
Yes.
Because I went and looked at, like I said, I talked to you about the one at
Yep. So my monthly payment will not go up. It could only actually
but
go
the phone quality went up.
Yes, but it's the same, even though it's the newer phone, it's the same price. Apple has consistently always kept the prices the same. So last year's phone was, let's just say, $749, and so now it's $749. So when you break it up into monthly payments, it's still the same monthly payment of whatever it is.
So even though it's $700, like at the store, it's $800, $799.
Right.
That doesn't apply if you go through Apple to do it that way.
Well, no, I'm still paying that much money, but I've already paid a year's worth, and so then they're just they're adding another year to it, so that I'm now paying off what I hadn't paid on the new phone.
On the original phone.
Yeah.
And so
and the new phone. So I'm
the
just.
price will be the same. Like their dollar per month will be the same.
Yes. And then you just get a new phone every year or every 2 years, depending on what you choose as your upgrade plan.
Oh.
As long as you keep basically the same price point of the phone, and since I'm in the iPhone family and I will stay that way, it's not going to change probably at all. They're saying it. Now, if you want to get technical, I could get technical. Well, they're saying that there will be 3 iPhones coming out this fall. There will be the 7S, the 7S Plus, and the 8. And so the 7S and the 7S Plus will be incremental upgrades to this version of the phone. So a better processor and maybe a little bit better stuff, but essentially look and feel the same. Whereas the iPhone 8 is the one that's going to be the complete redesign with the no home button, with they'll change the angle of the cameras to be vertical instead of horizontal. It'll be all glass. These are all rumors, but these are as close as we're going to get until Apple unveils it in September. It'll be all glass, and so there will be no, as we mentioned before, there will be no bezels. Yeah. It'll be essentially bezel-less. I don't know if it'll have no bezels, but it'll be pretty darn close. And so they are saying that one may be a little more money because of the radical design change and the extra costs and all glass design. So technically my phone price may go up if they do charge more for that phone. But if I were to just get the next version of this, the next year's model of this same phone, my monthly payment will be exactly the same. I'm just extending it another year out of how many payments I have. So the price will never change. Unless if I upgrade to a better model or if I downgrade to a lower model, let's say, because the capacity of this phone, let's say I realize I don't need that much, I only need half as much, which is the next price point down, then the overall price of the phone goes down $100, and over 2 years that's not much of a pay decrease, but I could pay less per month if I downgraded the hard drive of the phone. So, but you're essentially just paying a monthly payment. And all the companies are doing it now. I just decided to go through Apple because they include 2 years of Apple Care, which is a warranty. And the cell phone companies offer them as well, but they're different and they're third party. And so then you have to deal with the third party.
As soon as they get renewed every time you turn that phone into the next phone, you get another 2 years.
Yes.
Which you're going to turn in a year's time anyway.
But if I don't, then let's say I decide that, let's say I get the iPhone 8 in the fall with the bezel-less, and then they announce the new one, the iPhone 9 or whatever, the new equivalent of this fancy one is, and I say, that's just not enough of a whatever. It's not compelling enough for me to go out and upgrade because they're just tweaking this and that, and it's not something too appealing for me. Then I can just keep this phone. I don't have to upgrade. And so I can keep this phone for 2 years, and then at the end of the 2 years, then it actually becomes my phone. I've paid it off. And so then I can either just continue keeping it and using it, or I can upgrade at that point.
But if you upgraded at that point,
then at that point, this is
a brand new phone.
Yes.
And so it would be.
And then you start the monthly payments.
Yeah.
Well, but then I can sell this phone. Yeah. If I were not to upgrade after 2 years, then my payments would technically stop, and this phone would be mine. And then I can take this phone and sell it on Gazelle or sell it on eBay or Craigslist or wherever. And get the money out of this, whatever it's worth after 2 years, and then start the new monthly payments on the new phone.
So you're paying for
which is what I did last time, is I did 2 years and sold the phone for a couple $100 on Gazelle, and then we did the monthly.
You said
payments.
after 2 years, you're supposed to just throw it away and buy a brand new one.
Well, throw away is not a literal term.
Okay, so you're
5 years maybe, but 2 years no.
You've got that phone there,
Yes.
which cost you $750. Whatever.
Yeah, it costs something.
No, and so you're paying $40. And I'm just using numbers
Yep,
because
yep,
I'm
yep.
on the outside looking.
That's
in.
about right.
You're paying $40 a month for the phone. Does that include your telephone service also?
No. No, that's just the price of the phone. It's just the hardware of the phone. Like if you were to buy, let's say you were to go to Home Depot and you were to use the 12-month zero interest financing that they were offering right then, and you bought a new dishwasher. And then you make those monthly payments over those 12 months so that you get the zero interest. And then at the end of the 12 months, you're done with your payments. Okay. That's what this is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep. So it's just the price. That's just for the phone, and then we pay whatever our cell phone bill
Well,
is.
okay, that's
Yeah.
all right. I just because
So, and because I did this through Apple, this bill for the phone we pay to Apple, and then the cell phone bill we pay to Verizon.
okay, my friend he went to T-Mobile,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember the phone he got, but it was whatever. Wasn't an Apple. It was a
Right. Yep.
whatever phone.
Yep. Some kind of Android.
Some kind of the top of the line phone.
Yep.
And he pays 67, I think he said, or $68 a month, which is his phone bill and his service bill.
Mm-hmm.
And his service before was 45, so it went up about $20 or $22.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a 2-year contract. So is it the $22 or thereabouts paying for the phone?
Yes. Yeah, if he's in a 2-year contract.
I'm groping my way into what you're saying here.
So there's 2 options. You can do a 2-year contract where you pay one down payment up front on the phone, like $100 or $200
Yeah.
the day you buy the new phone.
Yeah.
And then, yes, the price of your monthly contract goes up because the phone is not just $200. The phone is $800 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so then your monthly bill goes up because in some way, shape, or form, they're going to get that $800 out of you.
No,
Yeah.
but that's why I was asking.
But yes,
His
that's
went up
why-
like $20-ish
Yeah.
a month, if I remember
Yeah.
rightly. And I think 2 years, but we
Yep.
just
No,
had
that's
this
standard.
conversation or something like that.
Yep,
And
and that's
I-
how it used to be for years and years, was
Okay,
the
okay.
2-year contract. And if you ever broke contract by switching companies, then you had to pay the
balance.
dues, yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because you were breaking contract, so to speak, but
basically,
it was
yeah.
you were paying the remainder of what you owe on the device. So,
So we beat that horse to death.
Well, no, the reason I was asking, my direction where I was approaching this from was I went, like I said, I went to Apple's store, and Brian, you and I have talked about this, and they were talking $795 for the new phone.
yes.
And I don't know who you dealt with there, but because I think you had been to the, thank you very much, by the way. And I think he was talking Verizon. I think that was the Cellverse he was trying to sell, if I remember correctly, for the Apple phone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking, I think he was talking somewhere around $76 a month for a 2-year contract.
Oh.
The phone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm trying to sort this stuff out because
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me to have a $76 cell phone bill. Well, to me, it doesn't make sense, but that's me. I'm just
Yeah.
explaining.
But everybody's needs are different.
No, yeah,
Yep.
no, I know, but so out of that, then I have to guess my cell phone bill would be like $45. I think that's about what I pay now. And then about the $30-odd would be going onto the phone for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I mean I don't
Yep.
mean to sound like I'm dumb as a box
Nope,
of rocks,
nope.
but
Well,
I'm trying
there's
to.
so many variables on it, you can't really go by
Yeah.
that because it's how many gigabytes of info do you get? Text with all free texting now. They're all.
Well,
free
that's all
download.
part of the base price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
And
so
the price
much.
of the phone, depending on how fancy of a phone you. So yeah,
It was
they're
that
right
one
there.
that I was talking to you about,
Yeah.
and the guy was talking about. I think the 8. I think you and I kind of talked about
7, yeah.
or 7, whatever
Yeah.
it was. And I thought, well, what's the point of getting a phone that's already on this edge of going out the door? So I was looking at the upper one, which we talked about.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now you're looking at a potential release date the end of September, beginning of October, and so it makes more sense if you're going iPhone to hold out until the September event, and then you can either buy the newest or you can get last year's model. They've always bumped them down $100 per price point. So
Okay.
those are your options.
I'm hoarding the conversation for a second for another reason. I have a business account in Vancouver, Canada. I have some business in Canada. And if I go to, and I'm going to say an Apple store in Canada, in Vancouver, and I do a lot of business in different ways, and I buy a phone there. Does it work down here?
Yeah, but there's roaming charges.
No. If I bought a phone there, can I bring it here and use it here? I said
If
that
it's
wrong.
Apple, yeah.
And so then I could.
But you'd have to, as we talked about before, you'd have to switch out the SIM card. Because if you buy the phone, well, I mean, if you buy it directly from Apple, but it has to be associated with a cellular company.
Well,
They won't just sell you a phone. You have to associate it with whatever existing account you have for
I
a cellular
was at
service.
Costco there, and this iPads and that little
Yep.
there is exactly the same price as here, and I can buy it for the dollar value 30% less.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the like I buy trucks in Canada, and I bring them down here and I sell them because I can.
Right.
And if I did that, and that was the other reason I've just been too busy with my life right now, but I got to go up there because I'm going to be looking at another truck, and I was thinking, if I buy another iPad or whatever they're called, the one that's got the smaller, whatever the screen size it is, I can get it for virtually the same price because it's Costco price. Will it work here? Can I bring it?
Yeah, an iPad will be. I mean, an iPad. You buy an iPad, a computer. That's not going to affect.
But
It's when you get to the
thing.
Internally, it's exactly the same. But when you buy a phone, because a phone when you buy it has to be hooked up to a carrier. So Apple's not just going to sell you, or Costco's not just going to sell you a phone. Your phone has to be associated with some kind of cellular carrier. And if you're buying it in Canada, then you're going to be associating it with a Canadian cellular company.
Even if I buy it outright?
Yes.
So,
I tried that.
Okay, well,
I mean, not in Canada, but I tried it. We were switching. We were buying the new phones and switching from AT&T Verizon at the same time, and Apple would not sell me a phone that had a Verizon SIM card unless I had a Verizon account pre-existing. So.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta. Yeah. It's complicated, and I was frustrated, but I mean, it makes sense. You can't just. So.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking. I can get this stuff for 30% cheaper.
Yep.
Well, by the dollar. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That changing. Is yours unibody? Oh no, you can take the battery out. Oh, yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
Let's turn your battery around.
So yeah, just look up the number on the battery and plug it into Amazon or something and see what the prices are for it. And I would try that potentially, depending on the price of the battery, and two,
compared to
what if you're looking to upgrade in the near future anyway, then
probably not.
Then it's probably not worth. Yeah, unless you're really concerned about the battery overheating.
Pretty much what I wanted to do. I mean, there's things I don't like.
Yep.
So I've got the same problem with my phone. Is it gets hot like that, hot enough that it's almost not touchable.
Yep.
And I take the back off. Well, I got this, which I don't know. And somebody else had said this to me, and I don't know. They said that having
these backs keep them hot.
This, like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just it's
well, they said
insulation.
But they said this is the problem.
Well, it's not the only problem, but it
Well,
increases the problem. I mean, if you stick a hot dish on a counter, it's going to cool off. If you stick a hot dish in an insulated thing, and I know these aren't insulated, but I mean it's the same concept. It's going to keep the heat in. I mean let's look at it this way: you're wrapping your phone in a blanket.
Yeah.
If you're laying on the ground, you've got your body heat. If you lay on the ground with a blanket, you've got your body heat being trapped in, and the cases trap in the heat. Just, that's how I would equate things.
No, I understand that. But my friend said that he doesn't have one of these on his phone.
Yeah, some people don't. Some people don't use them because of that. Some people don't use them because they want to keep the phone
Well, I drop mine
skinny.
all the time. So.
You need the cover.
Yeah.
Well, my friend has.
What else?
Alexa's on sale today.
Yes, she is.
$130.
Yeah.
What
So
is?
that's Alexa.
Oh, what's that?
Amazon Echo. The Echo.
Today
Down from
only it said-
$179 is the retail price.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's Alexa. That was that little cylinder I brought into.
You like it?
class
So
one
it's
day.
fun.
You
I
talk
do.
to her. She's
Yeah.
a personal assistant in your home. She can do
Oh,
timers. She
yeah.
can tell you the weather. She can tell you all the news.
But she can also
Now you
say,
can read
I don't
the
know
New
about that.
Now you can read.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
Mark
ever
sent. That was another
set
thing.
Different things in your house. Or,
Mark told me
I know,
on
I
Sunday,
know.
and
I've just scratched the surface, but it's a very cool thing.
but yeah, with Amazon
the one
Prime
thing she
now you
doesn't know,
can
though, too.
get magazines, certain magazines,
So
but you
what
can get
service
magazines.
does it work off of?
Amazon. So if you've got an Amazon Prime account, it's a Amazon Prime originally started out as it's now $100 a year, but it was the $79 a year, free 2-day shipping. But now that Amazon has kind of built their empire up, they've added so many other features. You get the video service, you get the audiobook service, you get cloud storage, you get I don't know, tons of stuff now. So
Don't you have that in this already?
well, Siri acts similar, but Alexa's tied into the whole Amazon ecosystem, so it does all of that as well. But Amazon just kind of knows a bunch of stuff, or the Echo, Alexa knows a bunch of stuff, whereas
she only knows facts.
Yeah.
well,
You
yes,
ask her a question that's not a fact.
well,
She'll give you this
yeah.
runaround.
yes, but Siri will typically take you. I found something similar on the web, and then you go and you click on the web page. Whereas the Echo typically will give you the answer. And there's an update to Siri in iOS 11, which is going to change a lot of that, but yeah.
So Bill, if I were to ask Echo a question like, Coke tastes better than Pepsi, she would give me a
She's not
fact.
biased.
She'll say, I
Oh,
I don't have
don't have
an
opinion on that.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she avoids.
Yeah.
We try to trap her.
Cokes are into giving.
Sometimes you give part of an answer, and so you follow up, and she stops. She won't.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the new things that Siri will be doing this fall is she will now follow trains of thought.
Is that right? Well, that would be
Whereas
good.
you used to say, I used to ask a question and then you try to follow up with a question based on what you just asked her, and she doesn't understand
Yeah.
follow up, and she will now.
So if you keep getting repeated phone calls and you hate it, say, I get one more phone call, I'm just going to kill myself. And she comes on and says,
Would you like me to
use a
block-
gun, or would you like to use poison? Is that what
Really?
Oh, she might say, "Would you like me to block the number?" I don't know, but you can block numbers in your. I know how to do it on an iPhone. It's easy to block phone numbers. But
You can now
Darina.
stream Cirrus if you have an account, but I haven't done that.
Oh, Sirius XM radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darina.
60 Minutes had a wonderful article on AI last night.
Was that the Watson thing?
Yes.
Yes,
How
Steve.
And that's why I
development.
think that
Steve sent me an email about it.
That's
Harris.
why I think that your echoes are just going to be so outdated because there's going to be so much information that these robots and these things can handle, like a whole Congress library. They can feed it into a Watson, and there you go, and all your newspapers, and it's just going to.
And what was that on Arena?
60 minutes. Watson is the IBM artificial intelligence that they're developing.
And I think it's going to be IBM is going to come out with something more
Well, they need to, right?
better, more better.
Well, yeah, I think they've put a lot of their eggs in the Watson basket, and so far, I mean, I don't think anybody has been disappointed with Watson's performance.
So how do you get that?
Doctors.
Yeah,
You don't get
that
Watson.
was-
Watson is solely owned and operated and
Read about that.
everything
For
by
the Cancer
IBM.
Institute,
What is
they
that?
feed all
Watson
this
it's
information
a truly
and, see
in the
results
truest
and all
sense of
these
the word,
articles.
artificial
They don't have time to
intelligence.
read all these
It
articles.
learns and it
So they compile
reacts
it
and
come
Yeah,
out
but is
with
it one of
results.
these?
no.
The best
IBM
results
owns it.
ever.
I
No,
mean,
but
Watson is a computer
That
with,
way,
and it's an artificial intelligence program
Gino or whatever.
that
Yeah.
they've been training and teaching and
We're
everything
in a
for years
little
now.
age
So
of
then
technology,
what-
let me tell you. it's
What, how does that,
mind-boggling.
would that apply to us? That's why the approaches I don't.
Watson is, well, and Watson's cut off from, isn't he still cut off from the internet? He's only learning what they're allowing him to learn, I believe. But anyway, Watson is completely owned and operated and only interacts directly with the IBM ecosystem at IBM headquarters or wherever Watson is housed. It's not like Siri or Echo or Alexa or anybody.
So it's not we don't
Cortana.
use it.
No.
No,
Nope.
it's a
I'm sorry.
huge computer.
It's a huge artificial intelligence computer that,
Oh my gosh.
you know, people are, these are not Siri, Alexa, Cortana, who else is out there? Okay, Google, all of those are, they call them personal assistants. They're not aware. They're not artificial intelligence.
Oh, I
They're not
understand that.
aware of anything. They are simply assistants that answer whatever query you give them based on what information they have accessible to them. And so they're getting smarter, and they're still not artificial intelligence, but they're getting smarter. Like I said, Siri will soon be able to do follow-up based responses, and so that's getting smarter, but in no way, shape, or form are they artificial intelligence. They're not learning of themselves. They only know and respond and react to what they've been programmed to do.
To recognize Drina versus me, but she doesn't at this point.
Oh.
Have you done in the app you can do the voice recognition thing?
Yeah, we haven't really done that.
I haven't done that either. I've done it with my phone so that because I think if any of you were in the room and were to say, hey, her name, I don't think she would respond to any of you because I've done the voice recognition thing.
Oh.
But if I were to say, hey Siri, tell me a joke.
Brian, get serious.
Yes, Siri, S-I-R-I-S. So she'll respond because I've gone into the settings of Siri and gone through and same thing with the Echo. You go through all of these prompts of repeating things that they tell you to say, and then they learn your voice.
So she might not respond to somebody new then?
Yes.
If you talk to her?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, so for example, and which is why I haven't, I'm guessing if I were to do that voice recognition thing in the app, then Becca doesn't use her, but Aubrey does sometimes. She just will walk up to her and try to get her to answer her questions or tell her the time or tell her the weather.
Okay.
She doesn't do it as much anymore. But if I were to basically link her to my voice, so to speak, then she would not respond to other people. So Aubrey can sit here and say, hey, you know who, all day long, and my phone will not respond. But she can do it with the Echo.
I got a question on that.
Yep.
High school kid or college kid take an exam. Serious. What is 1 + 1 - 17? Teacher's not. With your earbuds in or something, would it give you the answer?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what.
No math.
I don't know.
Or
Hey Siri,
math, or history, or
what's 1 + 7?
1 + 7 is 8.
There you go. See, yes, she knows math.
I remember.
At least basic math.
When I was in college, which is different now, I know, but they used to watch like hawks for calculators, which were coming in back
you
then.
didn't have calculators,
Yep.
but now you can because it's
Well,
a common thing.
But the thing is, back then they were coming in, and you were allowed to use a certain. We had to use a slide rule. Was how we did our stuff,
So
and we didn't have computer access to do the other way. So I'm
I
thinking
wonder
that.
what they do with this. They'd have to ban.
Well, they do. You're not.
Okay.
The second they
That's
see a cell
helpful.
phone, it's confiscated.
Okay. So they.
Yep.
Because they figured that out already.
Well, just, I mean, not even for cheating on exams, but just the pure and simple fact that they were either playing games or texting their friends and not at all paying attention and learning.
Okay.
As much as people, I mean, I do it too. I'm completely guilty of this too in general. I think I can multitask well, and I can't. I think a lot of people think they can multitask, but when it comes down to doing one thing and trying to listen to something else, what you're listening to always takes second place. I've discovered. You know, I'll sit in my office and I'll try to send an email while listening to a podcast. I can listen to music just fine because it's background noise. But when you try to listen to a podcast and, you know, figure out what, you know, not figure out, but retain what they're saying, it just doesn't work because your focus is on something else, and that's just becomes white noise. And so texting or playing a video game or, you know, surfing the web while you're supposed to be listening to a lecture and taking notes, it doesn't work.
It works pretty good for like saying, set the timer for 25 minutes or, you know, remind me.
Right.
Those kind of things. That's, you know, rather than
Tells you the temperature and the forecast.
by different areas. You know.
Yep. Yeah, and you talk about you say flash briefing, and it'll tell you all the, and you can subscribe to different news things, and the more that you subscribe to, the longer your flash briefing gets. But it's just the highlights for the news that they have most recent from the things that you subscribe to, and so yeah, I'll do that in the morning while I'm making breakfast or having coffee.
For some reason your router's down.
Well, yeah, she's all internet
It'll
based.
turn red. It turns blue when you speak to her. Then she's heard you. But if it's red, she said, "You know, ask me later. I cannot connect or something."
Cannot connect.
But there's a new one that's something about turning green. It was some new feature.
Well, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, there's the new Echo Show, which is the clothes one that we talked about.
Yeah.
And then there's the what's the other one? The Echo.
The hockey puck thing.
No, there's the new one with the touch screen on it, and I can't remember what that one's called. But Look. Which one's there's a Look and a Show. Anyway. But now they've got another one that they just came out with, which is, it's like I guess you can talk to it, but it can't respond back. So you can use it to order things or to make lists or little things like that. So if you don't want like a $180 one in all of your rooms, there's this tiny little one. And there's the Puck too, so I mean, they've got all varying sizes now for all of your needs.
My granddaughter figured out how to intercom it to her mom in her office.
Yeah, from upstairs because they have 3 in their house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she could
Talk to her instead of walking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know if those are on our. We had
It rings or something, and she. Yeah.
I've not heard of it. Of course, I only have the one, and I haven't really.
Because we get a weekly message from Echo saying this is what's new.
Yes.
She
what's
said
new
that
with
she could
Alexa?
actually talk to us if we set it up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh yes, the new. So about I don't know, a couple weeks ago. If you look at the app on your phone, the Amazon Alexa app logo icon app has completely changed design, and they did that. Yes, the new Echo, you can now call people.
Well,
Has to
here
be
it
a
says,
new
in
Echo.
coming weeks, Alexa will make it easier to tell when you have a new voice or text message by displaying a yellow ring.
Yes.
And then you can say, Alexa, play my messages.
Yep. Yeah, if you link your phone up to her, she'll do your emails, your text messages, your voicemails. You can answer phone calls with her. She'll have she'll have like, with the new one that does have the digital display, you will be able to do with their own app, but basically Skype or FaceTime, they will have their own version of that with the new digital display model.
Since it's speaking, and you say you look up your emails, does it actually read them to you?
Mm-hmm. Like when you do the flash briefing, sometimes like my the Tech News Today thing that I listen to, they pre-record with their own voices for the flash briefing, but CNN doesn't. And so when CNN comes through, it's Alexa's voice reading the headlines of what's new on CNN. So there's both. If the company has taken the initiative, I think NPR also has their own people reading
Mm-hmm.
the flash briefing, but I know for a fact CNN is just Alexa reading, word for word.
And she's got a really.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
I'm Mark.
yeah,
Thanks.
So the question then,
Yep.
so you were just saying something about if you get a message, somebody phones you?
Yeah,
and
Alexa
you can
will.
you can talk to it and phone
Well,
back?
it basically it's like a pass through. Your phone is still the one using the cellular service, and it's still the one making the call, but you can command all of that through the Echo device.
So it's not that making the call, you're just patching you over to your phone and the phone's
And
doing
then,
the
but
call?
the speaker and the mic are all run through the Alexa at that point.
And that was,
Or
that's only
the
through
Echo.
Apple at this point,
No, Android too.
okay.
Alexa's the Echo is a third-party device, so it works with both Android and Apple devices.
Too much.
Well, I mean,
Good phone.
these
Where's my
in-home
dial phone?
these in-home personal assistants aren't really. Obviously, Amazon wants everyone to have one, but not everyone's going to want one or need one. And
Well,
then, Apple came out with, or is coming out with theirs, the Apple HomePod.
Oh.
But they're actually marketing it more as a premium in-home speaker, like sound system, than they are.
Well, they play great music.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
can,
mean,
yeah.
Genres, anything you want. Just,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And so,
Very
but
different.
the speaker's nice, but it's not high end.
right.
And the Apple HomePod is supposed to be just.
But I
Big.
think you could plug the Echo into a speaker, because it has a port, I think, for,
No, it might.
seem like.
I don't know what that's for.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's got a, RCA port or
Mhm.
whatever that small one is.
Yep.
So how is this stuff working? If, like, I want to buy a new car, and I'm looking at another Chrysler like I have, and it's got, you talk to the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, and it's married to your phone, and I'm just trying to, I want to talk to so-and-so, and it phones them, you talk to the car.
Yep. Cars have that. Yeah. Well, but it's all through Bluetooth.
But but it's married to your phone,
Yes.
or is it the car that's doing that?
Well, it depends. Like.
I mean, not this. I mean, I'm as dumb as a box of
No,
rocks.
it's done two ways. One, it's done. Your car is still just acting as a pass through.
You still have to have a cell phone turned
Yeah.
on in your car that your car recognizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now with this new stuff, what you're talking about,
Well, that's all just in home.
That's not.
Like the Alexa
okay,
it has to be plugged into the wall to function.
oh.
So it's not a portable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of these, the HomePod, the Google Home, the Amazon Echo, all of them have to always be plugged into the wall.
Yeah.
I
So-
thought you just sit over yonder there.
Nope, they've got the cord that plugs into it, that plugs into your outlet. It's permanently.
So if you want to take it out in the patio or out in the yard while you're killing weeds, you'd have to have a big long extension cord.
Well,
Yeah.
no. The reason I'm asking is I've got a phone at home, Verizon, 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I could take it in my car. It's it's a home phone landline. But I did before I discovered that it's not a landline and it's $100 a month, which I didn't know. I could take it in my car. Work actually better in my van than it does on my diesel truck because I couldn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go anywhere. And it was my land number
Mm-hmm.
working in my car, plugged into but it had to be plugged into the cigarette lighter.
Okay.
Why that, I don't know. And
Usually they have a range. I mean, your
Yeah.
cordless phones have a range from the base station.
this thing here plugged into my car was